Hey everyone, good afternoon. Welcome to our APU and Industry Career Life webinar. My name is Rajin from APU. I'm your host for this session. We are having a series live webinar since Friday until today, covering different topics. For those who have missed out our earlier session, you can replay this session on our Facebook page or our YouTube channel. I would also like to take this opportunity to invite you to check out our APU e-Open Day that's happening now. Our counselors are ready to guide you through all the options that are available for your further studies. For more information, please visit our Facebook page and also follow our YouTube channel and our website. Now, without further ado, I would like to introduce our speakers. First, I would like to introduce Dr. Raja. Hi, Dr. Raja.
Hi.
Dr. Raja will be our moderator for this session. He's the head of School of Mathematics, Actuarial and Quantitative Studies at APU. Next, I'm going to introduce our guest speaker, Mr. Raymond Lai.
Hi.
Hi, Mr. Raymond. Mr. Raymond is ex-chief actuary at Vietcom Bank Cardiff in Vietnam. He's also a fellow of Society of Actuaries. And our next guest speaker will be Mr. Logan Kanisan.
Hello.
Hi, hello, welcome. Mr. Logan Tiran is pricing executive at MCIS Insurance. He's also an SOA ambassador and qualified as a fellow with the Society of Actuaries. So I would like to pass this session to you, Dr. Raja. Over to you.
Okay, thank you, Rajin. Hi, guys. Good afternoon, and thanks for joining us in this webinar. All right, and all the audience, students, potential students, parents. It's a good event. We have a series of events in APU, the webinar, and today is the turn for Actuarial to showcase some of our product and to discuss something about actuarial trends nowadays. Okay, as you know, Actuarial is what is the tagline is every risk comes with the opportunity. That's what actuarial looks about. Okay, so the key word in actuarial science is that we evaluate the risk or we mitigate the risk. Okay, so risk analysis and management are no strangers to professional actuaries. Okay, as they deal with different type of daily risks. Uh, However, the traditional field in actuarial is insurance, and to be precise or approximate, almost 60% of the actuaries are working in the insurance field. But the skills that acquired in actuarials actually are more wider and applicable to various disciplines. That's what we're going to talk about today. Before we go to the topics, let me introduce our two panelists, which come from with rich of experience. And first, I'd like to introduce to Mr. Raymond Lai. Hi, Mr. Raymond.
Hi.
Right. Thanks for joining us. Mr. Raymond is a fellow of Society of Actuaries, okay, as known as SOA, based in US, and he has over 30 years of actuaries risk management experience in life insurance, general insurance, family, takaful, medical insurance, and even insurance tech startup. And Mr. Raymond actually he was previously held as appointed actuaries, chief actuaries, and chief risk officers in Malaysia and Vietnam. And of course, he's also appointed actuary roles for multinational reinsurance company in Bahrain and Labuan. So with such significant expertise, Mr. Raymond is here to discuss how we're going to redefine or our actuaries can be redefined as those expert in mitigating risk in other discipline than the traditional one. Okay. Before we go further, let me introduce to another panelist, which is Mr. Logan. Mr. Logan is a product manager in MCI's life insurance. He graduated from University of Waterloo, Canada, and qualified as a fellow with SOA. So you see, in actuaries, the highest level of professional accreditation is fellow, right? And both our panelists are with fellow. And Mr. Logan came with experience in pricing, valuation, reinsurance, and product development, and experience in Canada and Malaysia. Currently, is with MCI's Life, a member of Sanam Group, and responsible for driving product strategy and innovation. So both our panelists are rich in experience, and we hope this session will be very useful to those who are interested and already in actual field and have interest to join the actual field and want to evaluate or look what are the potential of actuaries in Malaysia and worldwide. Okay. Before further, Mr. Raymond, you want to say something?
Yeah, of course. I've been actuary, for many areas. Right, I started actually from the life insurance industry. Then, after that, I qualified, as the actuary. So I actually, gain knowledge. Those days, 20 years ago, actually, for actuaries, right, you have to do almost everything, right? Because you have to do pricing and you have to do valuations, and also I was also the in charge of the that time when it was in 2000. So there was a change in the year 2000. So of course, there are change of technology, change of system itself. So I was also seconded, right, to do a non-traditional way, nothing to do actuarial, but I have to use, right, my actuarial expertise to help the company itself, right, to set up the whole system itself. So that's where I get involved into technology, to come up with new, to help to actually to lead the whole team of all the actual functions here to actually set up a new system, okay, for the company itself. And at the same time, not only for company itself, actually for the whole region itself. All right.
Oh.
So once I already done that, then later on I was qualified. Then I was I become appointed actuary in another company itself. So as an appointed actuary, you have to be, you need to work with other other departments, regarding about what is the company strategy and what type of products, best products to sell, so you need to work with the operations, finance, so that's all on the actual traditional actual side. So of course you have to to lead the other departments, based on your knowledge itself. So once I have that, then later on, there's a new changes. Of course, new developments always happening. You expect new developments in all areas, especially in the life insurance industry itself. There are new standards, so new requirements from from like government itself, from the bank itself, from the financial sector itself. So that's where the risk-based capital come about. So where they required the somebody to be in charge of the enterprise risk management side. So that's where I see the potential, right, of moving out from the traditional industry. So I want to prove to every actuaries that actuaries should not only work actually in the life insurance industry. You can actually move out to a non-traditional areas. So there I moved. That was actually the first qualified actuary, appointed actuary to move out from a traditional role, right, to the non-traditional roles. So by moving into risk management, all right. So during that time here is I have to use, right, so use my knowledge, like about you have the technical knowledge, you have the actual skills here, but risk management is something new, right? How are you going to use your expertise, right, to start something totally new at all? So that's where I start to move and venture out into the to risk management. So for that, of course, there are different type of skills, right? You can, as long as you are actuaries, if you have the right skills, right, you can actually move into any non-traditional areas, not necessarily in risk management itself. You see, non-traditional areas can be in the investment, it can be banking, finance. In many areas, you can apply. All right. So currently, there are a lot of technology under IR 4.0. There are a lot of technical changes here. You actually can move into that area. All right. So if you have one important thing is if you have the actual skill that you have the ability to learn new things. Okay, everybody must have the ability to learn new things because things are changing. All right, things are not stagnant. You have to learn. Everybody have to learn. So if all actually expect them, right, they actually have the ability, their skill to learn and relearn. Actually.
Okay, thank you, Sir Raymond.
Once you have this type of skills, right, you can move on to traditional and non-traditional, and you can move very, very far away. Actually, that's my how we define that.
Yeah. Thank you, Raymond. See, you see, as what Raymond has illustrated, is in his career itself. He started in the insurance and how he worked out, and his skill was required to move to help because to strategize the other risk management kind of thing, and he went to risk enterprise, and as you can see from early days, what he says, where actually have to do everything, but the skills that acquired by actuaries are actually valuable. And as what Raymond says, and what we can see throughout his career, how we move out from the traditional field to the non-traditional field. And again, the key word is you're able to learn and relearn as the things, as the technology move, the industry move to a different direction. Okay, but okay, let's start from Logan. What do actually do now? Traditionally, what they're doing now, Logan?
Okay, so actuaries, it is very hard to now say this is what actuaries do and this is what actuaries don't do. Every day, I am also learning, oh, actuaries can also do this and that. So, of course, traditionally, we are, actuarial expertise is applied in the insurance industry to evaluate and price risk and value liabilities. And in my career, I mean, I'm very young compared to Mr. Raymond, so I have a long way to go. But so my career has been more on the traditional part where I started out in valuation and then did pricing for a few years. I was a pricing manager for a couple of years, and then I moved on to product design, which is what we may call a non-traditional role in a traditional industry. So doing product design really challenged me because I could be one of your stereotypical actuaries in a way because I'm very analytical. Even when I communicate, I used to say, this is the confidence interval. This is when we do the sensitivities. This is the result. I used to communicate in that sort of a way and be very much focused in analyzing results in depth. But when I moved on to product design, I needed to develop new skills, communication. at different levels. So communication, we often say communication is important, but there are many different types of communication. So when you're communicating with different stakeholders to get people to work together, because in product design, you kind of have to lead many people across the organization in many different functions without having authority or power over them. Many of them are more senior to me, have much more experience to me than me, but I need to get work done with them as well. So how do you get all these different people to work together, and then sometimes they have to listen to what you say, because yes, it's collaborative, but you need to set a direction and they need to follow. So how do you win trust? How do you build relationships? How do you communicate effectively? Because you can't just say, I want you to do this. That won't happen. Then you have to, the way you communicate. And then communication with senior management is also very important. As a product design person, of course, senior management will always look to product. They will say we need to innovate. And then you have to sometimes negotiate, I don't have enough resources. Can we prioritize? And then you have to give your ideas, and you have to present your ideas in such a way that you get buy-in from senior management. So this role, I think it helped me develop a lot of additional skills which are very valuable to actuaries in terms of communication, stakeholder management, relationship building, getting work done. So all of that is, I believe actuaries have the skill sets to do that, because we are very analytical in our thinking, very logical minded, careful, and I don't know what's the right word, but we are very, even when we communicate, when we do our work, we are very methodical about it. So that gives us a very good grounding, a good strength. And then when you build these other skills, that makes us really powerful to be able to do many things. And I fully agree with what Mr. Raymond says, that we can and should go into many different industries and apply our skills, because we bring a type of a thinking that other disciplines don't have. So that's very powerful.
Thanks, Logan. See, as what Logan and Raymond have mentioned, the skill that acquired by actuarial, actually these are the people perception that actuaries works in insurance. What they do, they evaluate the risk, the liability, the potential risk, and how to mitigate that. That was the people perception. And until today, if we do a survey of when people come and what you know about actuaries, these people work in insurance, traditional insurance, do risk kind of thing. But as what Raymond says, when he acquired the skill, and when he did what Logan says, when he acquired the skill, and when he moved to product design, you need to re-strategize. And the key word is the analytical skills. Please correct me if I'm wrong. The analytical skills that acquired by Raymond and Logan here is develop them to move further, to explore and to venture out, not only as those who are doers, they are those who drive the strategy. As what Raymond says, you have to strategize the movement, you have to strategize the whole region, not only a company. And what what Logan says, he have to strategize to drive the whole thing. He have to say it out. People, those in different field, those in finance, in management, and these actual are the drivers. And the driver, because they have the analytical skills where they can look at the risk, the potential risk, and how to mitigate that. That are the skills that are acquired by them. Okay, if you look into these skills, Mr. Raymond, how these skills allowed actuaries to work in non-traditional, not only area, discipline as well. Because I heard recently from one of the webinar that actuaries also work in oil and gas. That's quite surprising. Mr. Raymond?
Yeah, you see, the actuaries, right? First, traditionally, actuaries, if you go through a long examinations, they basically train you, right? How to think more logically, and you have to act fast. Because sometimes you look at the examination, they test on it, right? So they have the real reason why not many people actually pass the examination fail, because they really test you, right? How accurate you are, and then how how big is your scope? Do you really understand, some mathematical or statistical or actual type of formulas? Do you really understand, right? to actually apply that type of formula and then explain and also make use of it, right, in the real life. So this is I think very. So we are trained, right? We have to go through like, if you're lucky, it's 5 years. If not lucky, it takes 10 years to pass the examinations. So sometimes you have to take the examination one time, fail. So this is basically training, really training your mind, analytical minds. It really train you very well so that when you go out, you actually can face it, because you know that you already failed. They really fail you, and you will fail in the examination. So you already fail enough. That's why when you fail enough, eventually you will pass. So in the real life, in the traditional, it's also like that. Because there are a lot of things is because unknown. A lot of things are unknown itself. That's why we have to learn. So that's why we have to learn and apply to find out new knowledges, because things are changing every day. Nothing is static in the real life. So that's why the actuary have the own analytical skills and all technical skills here to actually look for informations, okay, to actually support his assumptions, because actuaries make a lot of assumptions, because sometimes information are not available. He has to make assumptions. When he make assumption, he needs supportive data to support his assumption itself. So, for example, that's why true enough, oil and gas actually really need actuarial skills, because oil and gas something new here. So you don't know what is the future resources about the oil and gas. You don't know what's the price of the oil, and then how much is the resources left itself. So you need, basically, based on the methodology, what they do, the processes, you need to estimate exactly in the long term how much oil left actually. So this is exactly very, very important. That's why actuaries are required in the oil and gas, because oil and gas also involve risk. Involves a lot of risk also. So that's why I'm sure all the actuaries are involved in the risk management. They understand, they know how to value risk. They need how to price the risk itself. So like example like oil and gas industry itself involve a lot of the risk, that the actuary only can evaluate. Where can you find any other profession that know how to value risk? All right. So risk is involved like uncertainties, and then involves a lot of scenarios, a lot of modelings. You have to apply. So only actuaries are well trained to do all those things. So that's why all the skills are very, very important. So I think the basic skills, right, that we are trained, right, actuaries are trained, right, to have like analytical skills and the modeling skills, all those things, understanding logically. So these are skills you can carry forward in all other non-traditional areas. Of course, that is not enough. You actually have to learn other skills. For example, what Logan said, right, communication skills, presentation skills. And then, of course, now under the new in the IR 4.0, you see that there are a lot of data, a lot of big data itself. See, there's an emergence of the data scientists itself. Okay, they play with data. Okay, when they play with data itself, actuaries do long ago already play with data, right? But then something new about data scientists. I was thinking, what's so much different about? There's so much difference, right? It's just that data scientists is like statisticians, but they cannot become actuaries. So sometimes like I went to some of the career, people said, okay, will data scientists eventually become actuary or anything? They are not actuaries. They only know how to do on the data and not play with the data itself. But actuaries are more than that. They are multidisciplinaries. They need to understand all areas, all fields. As far as I know, right? If you go into any new non-traditional, first thing you need to learn about that industry first.
Correct.
How do you learn? Because it's new to you. For example, I move into technical, the IT itself. I need to understand how the IT works, how they think, how they write the programs, and then you have to communicate to them well, because you can't talk to them because they are technical people. So you have to explain to them so that they can understand and code it accordingly. So move on into like blockchain, right? Because I work with a lot of startup company. You see a lot of like gators company, blockchains, or they want to disrupt the whole traditional life insurance industry itself. But they have the technical, for example, about the technical technology knowledge, but they don't have the business knowledge. So that's why they need people from the industry itself to help them, okay, with business knowledge, to help them to for to move into a not digital platform environments, all those things. So that's why how the this all non-traditional areas. So you have to learn new things. Okay, learn new things, communicate well. Of course, you have to lead them. Sometimes they are not sure. You have to lead them.
Okay.
Lead them to the right direction so that they what we want to work with them is basically we want them to really understand and produce the right thing, right for the industry itself. Not something you're not clear. So that's why they need the experts to actually help them with the business knowledge itself. So a lot of communication, I think, is very important. Business skills is very important. I think like one part here is basically more on creativity. Creativity as what is skills is important, because I think Logan knows that you do in product design. I was involved in product designs. I come out with very, very creative to our products. You cannot come, for example, under this new environment itself, right? Are you sure that the old traditional products still can survive? They eventually there will be a change. You look at the overall environment itself, right? Things are changing very fast. If you really move on to, currently we are moving into this IR 4.0. With IR 4.0 actually going to change a lot of things. The future of the roles of the actuaries actually going to change a lot. And then you are never going to see, right, the old traditional products. The products eventually change.
Okay, thank you, Raymond. Right. Yeah. So what we can assume from Raymond, what Raymond says, actuaries are expert in evaluation risk. They can measure the risk. Okay, that's what they do in their life. As in insurance, very traditional, they can measure what the risk, what the health risk, and they can come out strategically and creatively the product to meet that. Okay, and from what Raymond says, I can, if I can put it right, it's a data-driven decision making based on evaluation. As Logan mentioned that he's a product design, and how much data you have to make a lot of assumption, and how you arrive to the assumption. Is it data driven? Logan, can you comment on that?
I think data is definitely very important. I mean, I think every insurance company already have an analytics team where we have all these Tableau or data marts where we can quickly look at how the different segments of customers are, where the products are performing, which products are not performing, agents and all of that. So because decision making is partly judgment, partly by data. And then if your data is stronger, you can validate your assumptions and it makes it stronger. Sometimes most of the time, those experts, they will be able to validate the assumptions and they'll be even more confident. But sometimes your assumptions may be outdated. What is true maybe last year or 2 years ago may not be true in this environment. So having data, being able to quickly pull up data and interpret that will be very important. But the key here is, as an actuary, you don't want to be just the producer of data analysis. You want to be the interpreter of data analysis and the decision maker. So that is the important thing that we need to prepare ourselves for. Like Mr. Raymond said, if you just want to be a data scientist, many people can be a data scientist. You have a huge competition there. But not many become the decision maker who use the data science. So you need to understand the data as well as interpret it in the context of your business. So I think that's where we actuaries have an advantage in that.
That's where the experts are really needed, right? It's not only having data, and you need to make sure you structure data, get the outcome, and interpret data to reach a very good decision. But that's what risk management, risk mitigation, all of that. Okay, we have talked about IR 4.0. So, in your opinion, both of you, if you look, what is the future of actuaries? Of course, I think Raymond have elaborated a lot on that. So, what are the futures of actuaries? To those who are interested, those who want to be actuaries, of course, if you look at the Robert Walter, they mentioned the sexiest job of the data scientist, then actuaries comes along. Then say actuaries have 20%, they estimate there'll be 20% increase in demand for actuaries. These demand are going to just go to the traditional, or are we going to work beyond? Are we going to redefine actuaries as someone have the expert and skills that both of you elaborate now to work in industry? What do you think the future of actuaries looks like in Malaysia and of course in worldwide? Okay, who want to go first, Raymond or Logan?
Yeah, I see that because I think no doubt the IR 4.0 is now actually changing the world, changing the way we live, the changing the way we communicate with people. So everything's are changing now. So of course you look at the what you need to do is understand what are the impact of this IR 4.0. So IR 4.0 is definitely talking about the what I see right overall what IR 4.0 is about. Important one is basically you see IoTs. There are a lot of Internet of Things here. There are a lot of communications. Everything are internet connected. Okay, internet connected. So everything will have you just look at your house, the house that you live. Now you are going to have a smart home, right? So inside your house itself, you have a lot of gadgets. For example, refrigerator. Like all are internet connected also. So it's all connected with your smartphone itself. So this is exactly the life we are moving to. And then of course you look at the like selfless drivers. You see a cars, all those things. Tesla actually producing a lot. Eventually, like other like vehicles industry itself also all moving into selfless car or those driverless car.
Yeah.
So just imagine, right? Now, if you're actuary, right? If you think traditionally, right, you're going to evaluate, people to buy insurance, right? Do you think that is there really a need of the insurance for cars? All right. So what you need to estimate, right? The growth rate. What is the potential of percentage of the population will be using a driverless car? So now they are also they are talking about delivery. For example, lorries. Lorries are moving, traveling is very tiring for the lorry drivers. So they eventually you see the delivery of goods, right, by a lorry which is actually no driver.
Yeah.
So this one if you understand the IFOA, the impact in the future itself, right? Maybe take another 10 to 15 years, right? You see that you have to change the way you do the pricing. Maybe all this data that you have in the future, right? In the past itself, I think maybe it's not obsolete. You need to gather new data, but data are not there. So we need to collect enough sufficient data itself, and then of course the actuary itself have to make adjustments based on its own judgments. So a lot of things here, you talk about IR 4.0, I'm sure the old way of thinking, right, of the actuaries it won't work anymore. So you have to think of the what's the real impact of the IR 4.0 to not only in the actual profession itself, basically in other industry also. All right. So for example, automation. Automation is very important because with the blockchains, technologies, and then a lot of things can be actually automated. So then people would think since the computer, we have very powerful computer, quantum computing, right? So do we really need actuaries now in the future? So people would think that is there potential? People the artificial intelligence, the robots will replace a lot of jobs. Will it replace the actuaries or not? So I went over there. There are a lot of questions about is it really is there really a job for me, right? But of course, if you have your ability to learn and relearn new skills. That's why more important is you have to learn new skills. The people currently, right, who learn new skills in any field here will only survive better than any artificial intelligence. So we have the IR 4.0, all those technologies here. Now we have the ability to make use of all those technologies to help in our work, to simplify our work. Those days, right? Those days when you want to calculate a premium, if you look at 50 years ago, you actually manually, right? You have to take out a piece of paper and write out the formula and calculate it. So that time, you just don't have a calculator. You manually have to calculate. So after that, it come with computers, right? They are so very strong, powerful programs. But nowadays, if you know, right, if you have very powerful computer knowledge, all those things, right? I think they are very good technology where actually you can ask the computer to calculate all those things, all valuation, pricing. I think it can be done by the computer. Is better than you. Sometimes you just give them the data itself. They can come with the assumption
Correct.
So what they're
Correct.
actually going to do is, right? But definitely the actuaries have jobs itself because you have to learn new skills. There are certain skills, right, that the computer or the artificial intelligence cannot take over. For example, some complex the problem solving, too complex that the computers, technology, artificial cannot do. About the relationship, because has like coming out with new products, working with people, communication is very important here. The robots, the artificial intelligence do not have any expressions. They don't know how to talk to people. So that's why human beings, right? People, you still need the real people to have the to work with people. People can understand you better.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
What Raymond says that okay, even you are there be a lot of automation. All the AI can do a lot of the manual, the routine job, computing kind of thing. But we need people, analytical skills that actually have to move forward. So, Logan, your opinion on what is the future for actuarial in Malaysia and in worldwide? Beyond, of course, you have been in traditional field insurance and you do a product design in a traditional field. But what do you think? Is it adaptable to different discipline, and what's the potential looks like? Again?
So to me, the potential is the limit that we set for ourselves. Sounds like a cliche, but really, because the way actuaries become the subject matter experts in insurance industry is because we understand the insurance industry so well. We went into it, and then we understand the mathematics, the business logic, everything behind it very well. And of course, once the first actuary goes into the insurance industry, then it becomes a strong house for actuaries. And of course, we keep recruiting more actuaries. So for us to move into other industries, of course, we need pioneers like Mr. Raymond who actually went into these different industries. And then there will be more of us who go into these different industries. And once the first person takes the foot in there, then other people will follow suit because you'll have to carve apart. But of course, we can't wait for others to carve a path for us. So we need to actually be bold enough to take that step. And it doesn't mean you have to be someone with a lot of experience to take that step. For example, if you're a fresh graduate and you're looking for jobs, if you find there's a very interesting job we talked about the oil and gas industry, maybe the aviation industry, something where they are not actually advertising for actuaries, you can go ahead and apply for it and tell them why your actuarial skill set is good for that industry. So I think the fresh graduates ourselves will need to start doing this more and more. And the more we do that, the more opportunities we create for ourselves. Because imagine, back in the day when the actuarial profession was starting, I'm very sure the actuaries had to go and talk to the insurance leaders and tell them why the actuaries are important for you. I think surely there was one point where we had to do that. So now we have to go and talk to other industry leaders, other people who are hiring, and tell them why our skill set is important for you. So you have to be able to do that. And then when you're able to do that, then you go in, you learn about that industry. And then if you need to get more programming knowledge, different types of mathematical knowledge, we can learn all that because we know how to learn programming, we know how to learn mathematics. So if you have to learn artificial intelligence, operations research, all of these different branches, we can learn as well. So I really think the limit is what we set for ourselves, really.
Yeah, thanks, Logan. So what we can see that the skills are already there. As when you graduate as an actuarial and you passes all the final the professional exam, the analytical skill is there. Whether you need to believe yourself, whether you can adapt to new industry, as what Logan put in. You can go to the industry, shows them what you have and what you can do for the industry. I think that's if I'm not wrong, that's what Logan tried to implicate here. But the idea is, of course, when you go to new industry, like what you say, oil and gas, or you talk about manufacturing or production or investment, whatever field you're going to in, of course, the subject matter, you talk about plantation example. So before we do an evaluation on the risk in the plantation, and Raymond's talk about, we don't know what the price looks like in the future, all right? But of course, you need to have that kind of knowledge, which can be obtained through reading and learning. And as the main thing is the analytical, the skills that acquired. So are we looking, if you look at actuaries now, so are you looking at APU, we are really focused on the IFOA and the professional accreditation thing. That would be our main. Of course, we also add few modules, which is talking about marketing behavioral kind of thing. So in the future, the academic should follow suit. Do you think we should open up? We should introduce, rather like now we're doing a final year project, which is very much go to insurance disciplines. Are we ready? Are people in the industry ready to look, okay, you are actually graduate, but you're doing a project in oil and gas. You evaluate risk in oil and gas. Do you think people are ready, or the students are ready? As what Logan say, yes. If you want to learn, go ahead. Are we ready? Are we can redefine? Actuaries are those with analytical skills, which is, of course, the main forte is insurance, but can be adaptable in other industries. Okay, can we wrap up? Logan, can you wrap up the session first before we go to Raymond?
Yeah, sure. So I think this is a very important topic because if all the actuarial graduates keep trying to get employed within the insurance industry, there's definitely not enough jobs. Not enough demand from the insurance industry. And as Mr. Raymond also mentioned, the insurance industry may be disrupted. There may be different types of providers. For example, Tesla is hiring actuaries because they want to build the risk analysis into their driverless cars. So now, general actuaries may be moving towards car manufacturers. So, the whole industry may be changing in this environment. Each actuarial student we need to open our mind. We need to broaden our minds, and then we say, okay, what are the different kinds of areas I can apply my skills, and how do I convince the hiring manager that I am relevant to them. So that is very important. And the other item that is very important is the growth mindset. We need to keep on learning. There is no stop to learning. And in the actuarial profession, it is actually formalized in the form of continuing professional development. We have to show proof that we are learning about, for SOA, it's 60 hours, 60 units of CPD every 2 years. So, we have to keep learning, and we force our fellow actuaries to keep learning, because that's the only way we can survive, thrive, and grow. I think that's very important. Yeah.
Okay, thank you again. And Raymond, do you wrap up?
Yeah, you see, for example, like if you are 10, 20 years ago, of course, all those fellows or those actual graduates were all definitely the first choice to move into the insurance industry itself. But now 10 years later, so during those days, about 10 years ago, I was promoting, the actual professions. So that time I was in the, I was a president of the Actuarial Society of Malaysia. So that time we have very few actuaries. So we know that I already projected that, in the future, I need about 100 qualified fellows itself. That those days we only had 300. So we have that time we only have like around 16 qualified fellows. So our projected our 5 years time, I will have a lot of fellows. So then later on, 10 years later, really we achieved more than 100 overqualified actuaries. So there are a lot of the colleges, right? A lot of colleges, universities are opening up, actuarial science degree. So suddenly end up we have a lot of graduates from the actuarial, and then they come back to us now. Everybody have no job. So that's why I said, you has the graduate, right, of actuarial science. You don't only now move into the insurance industry. All the insurance industry here already have a full departments. All are fully, have a full team of the actuaries, actuaries working then. So definitely there are no job. You have to wait for one person to leave the company before you can have a job. So that's why definitely you have to move into a different industry, different non-traditional role itself. Now, getting a degree, right, in actuarial science is just a stepping stone to actually train and mature your mind itself, to have the analytical minds. And then with this type of knowledge here, you have to learn new skills itself to move on to a different type of industry, and then apply your actual knowledge. So you can add value. Basically, you work, doesn't matter where you work, you actually have your well-trained actuarial graduates with all those analytical, all those knowledge of actuarials, as knowledge itself, information. You just have to apply the knowledge in all industry. You have to show the other industry, other people that you actually can add value to their business itself. So you can move into any industry that you like itself. More important is the industry that you actually like to work or not. If you don't like, you still want to go into still not go to life insurance industry, then okay, move on to that until you work for 2-3 years. If you really get a job, or you have to fight for the job basically. So if you get a job, then eventually, right? Eventually, even though you move into the insurance industry, eventually one day you have to move to a non-traditional roles. So it's better for you to choose the role and then develop on it, so that you don't waste a lot of time, okay, on the traditional roles in life insurance industries. So move on, right? It's a very good stepping stone for you to move into different industry. And I'm very sure, right? I believe that with the actual degree side and your analytical mind itself, you can move further, better than other people, right, in the other industry itself.
Thank you, Raymond. Okay, what's Raymond's and Logan wrap up is good. That means you have the skills, and of course you go to traditional as any other discipline, any other profession. It's very competitive out there, very competitive. So we need to work out. So at APU, we have, of course, we have full accreditation from the professional body, and we train the students to go the communication skill. But what's the beauty of APU is we have a multidisciplinary degree or an APU. We are very well known in IT. When Raymond talked about IoT, we have a degree in IoT, cybersecurity, and on the business side we have management, accounting, finance, fintech, and now recently we introduced psychology. And the actual graduate in APU, when they do the final year project, there are vast opportunity for them to venture, use their skill they acquired during the first 2 years, and do a final year project in this multidisciplinary, which will be an added advantage for them when they go to the job market. I think we can redefine actuarial as someone have the analytical skill with all the acquired skill required to mitigate risk or to evaluate risk, but in various disciplines, not only limited to insurance. Of course, as Raymond said, if you like life insurance, why not go in? But again, it's saturated. But the world, I mean, the opportunity is right there. How you adapt, learn, or whether you need to learn and relearn and relearn. As Logan says, every 2 years they need to relearn, study back to make sure you are trained in what's happening in the world, especially in IR 4.0. Okay. With that, thank you, Raymond and Logan. I'll pass to Rajin for Q&A. Rajin.
Thank you, Mr. Raja. Thank you for sharing, Mr. Raymond and Mr. Logan. Now it's time for our Q&A session. Everyone, please feel free to drop your questions in the comment section, and we will address them accordingly. All right, let me see. We have some questions here. I heard APU is one of the universities in Southeast Asia that has scholarship by IFOA. Is it true?
Okay. All right. This is good. Okay. What you heard is correct. APU is one of the universities in Southeast Asia that have scholarship by IOFA Foundation. It's a subsidiary of IFOA, known as IFOA Foundation. And what the scholarship offered, they offered 5 scholarships per year to APU graduates, to pursue their professional accreditation from IOFA. Yes, and 5 seats, 5 places are guaranteed for APU, and those top 5 students in APU will recommended for this IFOA Foundation scholarship. Yep, I hope it's answered that.
Right, thank you, Dr. Raja. Okay, we have another question here. One of the key attractions for actuaries is high salaries. Actuarial graduates, as suggested, can join other industry too, but is the remuneration same as insurance in other industries like oil and gas, automotive, and etc.?
That's for the panel on the job, because you are from industry. Raymond, okay, I can answer yes. Correct. If you work in the life insurance industry itself, the high salary here is basically talk about when you are qualified as a fellow only. Okay, those fresh graduates here, if you can work in the insurance, either you work in the insurance industry or in other profession, I think is there are not much difference. Not much difference. Maybe if you have a lot of papers passed, most probably the insurance will pay you slightly more. Okay, but the potential, right? If you move into a non-traditional, potential of how fast your salary move, right? It all depends on your knowledge and how you add value to the company itself. Okay, so of course, definitely, if you're qualified as a fellow, definitely move working in the life insurance, the insurance industry. Of course, you will have a higher salary because they have for example, they are appointed actuaries. All right, appointed actuary, of course, they have high salary because it's very technical, and of course, high salary always come with the high risk, also high responsibility, I would say, because you are responsible because you sign off everything. Okay, and then your lifetime will be bounded by that what you signed previously. Okay, so that is the high risk. I'm talking a high risk. All right, so it always comes with high responsibilities. All right, that's what I can answer. Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Raymond.
So I think, as Mr. Raymond said, when you start off as a fresh graduate, an actuarial graduate in the insurance industry, would the starting salary would be comparable to any other industry. And I even heard that manufacturing companies, some of them, I was in another industry panel a couple of years back, and one of the peers from, I believe it was IBM or some other manufacturing company, they said they will hire mathematical statistics students with a starting salary of 4,000. So 4,000 starting salary is almost unheard of for actuarial graduates. Normally it's about 332, about there, or 28. So that's one illustration. If mathematical statistics students can be hired for that position, actuaries can also. Actuarial graduates have that same skill set. We also learn statistics, so why not? Remuneration, of course, we have that advantage in the insurance industry. As you pass exams, you get salary increments, and that's the way our salary goes up fast. But on the other hand, if you can pass exams, but you are not seen as a good worker, not contributing value, people see you as a stumbling block, that job is not going to last. And that's the same everywhere. And if you want to get a high salary in any profession or industry, you have to prove yourself as the subject matter expert. You have to contribute value. So if you can show that you're contributing value in the company, you will get your promotion, raise, and all that. So I think after some years, it's actually going to be very similar. That advantage, we say high salary for actuaries, maybe earlier years only. After that, it should be similar if you're making progress in your career.
Okay.
All right, thank you. I think I should have studied actual studies. Okay, we have another question here. What do you see in terms of the job market? Is it too many actuaries talent in the market, or there's lack of talent in Malaysia?
I think Raymond or Logan.
Yeah, I think it. Okay, you depends on the. You look at the job markets. I think you have to look into what I would say is, where is the range of people? If talk of fresh graduates, okay, yes, definitely there is a oversupply. Okay, if talk about intermediate, like 3 to 5 years or something, there is a really lack of talents. Okay, you talk about the qualified, the fellow. Of course, we have many fellow, but it's still not enough, because those fellows who are appointed actuary, eventually few years later, they will move out to other roles. So we need all those qualified actuaries to take over their positions. So definitely there's always not enough talents. And then of course we must know that there are a lot of regulation, a lot of compliance. They are changing environments. So with the introduction of the IFRS, okay, IFRS 17, all those things, they will need. These are actually affect the accounting, standards itself. So in the accounting or finance side, we need actuaries to lead the department itself. So there's definitely there are short of the talents in the actual profession itself. So it depends on different areas itself. Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with that. So I actually did, I got curious once, and then I wanted to see how many qualified actuaries we have in Malaysia compared to other countries. So I started collecting data last year, and then I compiled it on my LinkedIn profile. Malaysia actually has a very low concentration of qualified actuaries. So we have about 200 qualified actuaries in a population of 30 million. If you look at Canada, Canada has more than 4,000 qualified actuaries. Actually, 4,000 might be too low. Maybe the number is higher. More than 4,000 for a population of 30 million also. They are among the top in the range. And eventually, that is, of course, some people may argue, do you really need to qualify actuaries? Maybe become outdated. But I think for the betterment of the profession, we need more and more qualified actuaries. But then on the fresh graduate side, I agree there is an oversupply if you look at the insurance industry only, because all these fresh graduates are fighting to get into the insurance industry, maybe the consulting industry, which is insurance consulting as well. So from that perspective, it looks like there are too many graduates. And of course, we find it very easy to fill positions. We want to hire an intern. Even if you don't advertise the position, you just tell a few people, then you get a few applications already. That's how it is right now. Yeah.
All right, thank you. We have the next question. IFOA or SOA, which one would you prefer?
Whichever one, whatever you can get, do it and come.
I think those things is because where is your starting point? Okay, some like IFA. This is from UK. So if you're taking a degree in UK, of course you go for the the faculty. Then of course if you are getting a degree in US, you continue in US. But of course the difficulty is quite. I don't think there's someone more difficult or anything like that. All right. So last time it's possible that maybe SOA is difficult, but nowadays, like as long you can understand, you're intelligent enough, I think anyone will be not that difficult itself. It's just a matter of studying, studying your materials well and then pass the examinations, right? So of course the insurance industry don't say that okay, if you're SOA you'll get higher salary or whatever. It doesn't matter. Right? Yeah, it's up to you. Actually, it's up to you.
Okay, all right. Anyway, our
as
actuarial
a hiring
studies.
manager, sorry, go ahead. Yeah.
Sorry, Mr. Logan.
Yeah. So I just wanted to echo what Mr. Raymond said. Whichever route that you go is just fine. Some students like to switch path between IFOA and SOA, saying this is easier, that is easier. You will eventually get stuck somewhere. So you might have one easier paper here, then the next paper might be harder. So you just keep on going on the path, whichever path you choose. Yeah.
All right, thank you. Anyway, the actuarial studies program at APU is accredited by both IFOA and SOA, so there's no issue for you to pursue further with this professional qualification. Right, we have next questions from Fadiru. Postgraduate programs such as master or PhD, are they having added values in the career ladder in actuary?
Okay, this I think I need to talk to the industry, because there's a two school of thought. Whether you when you start actuarial studies, are you going to go to the professional? Your direction is the professional papers to achieve your fellow status, or you're talking about masters or PhD? Which is in industry what they're looking at? Raymond?
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Yes, of course. I think if you work inside the insurance industry itself, of course, the professional exam is the priority one. Okay, I think the master and PhD here, of course, even though you have a master or PhD, but you have to ask yourself, how is it related to what you are doing now? All right. If you are doing a master in actuarial science, then possibly because you get accreditations of some of the papers itself, but then maybe the company itself will recognize this. But of course, if you are doing a master in business itself, then of course, in the later part, okay, we are moving into a senior management side as a leader itself. All those things will add value, right? Or add value to your your prospect itself, your growth itself. All right. But of course, first thing is that if even though you have actual science, if you have a master and PhD, and then you don't have any experience itself, you do not expect higher salary because you don't have experience. So, but you know that with this postgraduate program, you have a master or PhD, it will help you in the future. It's not immediate results that you will gain. Okay, so you have to look into that part. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Right, thank you.
Something else
We'll move to.
sorry.
Sorry, go ahead, Mr. Logan.
Something else I can add, we were speaking about going into different industries. Of course, in the insurance industry, the master's or PhD is not so important. The important part is passing exams. But other industries actually don't look at your exams. So maybe if you do an internship or you start off in an industry, and then let's say oil and gas, maybe you can do a master's study in oil and gas or PhD in some research field over there. Then of course that may help your career. So I think for non-traditional industries, the master's or PhD may be useful, and as long as you make it relevant to where you are going to. Yeah.
Right, thank you. We'll move to the last question here. I have an A in SPM mathematics, but my AdMaths is just passed. Do you think I can cope with this actuarial program?
Okay, if you look at APU, the thing is you need to be not to be super dope in additional maths or what. You need to have the fundamental knowledge, strong fundamental knowledge in mathematics, the analytical mindset, the skills. You must share analytical mind skills where you'll be anyhow in the program itself. We'll start with the fundamental courses and we build up your fundamental courses lead to the other program. Example, you're talking about multivariable calculus, it will lead up to probability model and advanced probability model, and we go to predictive analytics. We'll build up slowly, but it doesn't matter. Of course, the fundamental knowledge is important, but the AdMaths, if you have a good result, it will be an advantage. If no, fine, we still can build up on that.
Okay, thank you so much. It is time for us to wrap up our session today. I'm so grateful for your time, and I hope that you find this session interesting and informative. We are going to have our next session with the topic of careers in game design and development at 5 p.m. Stay tuned and follow our Facebook page for more updates. Thanks everyone for joining us live today. Thank you so much, Mr. Raymond and Mr. Logan, for joining us today.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Raja. Thank you. Stay safe, everyone. See you soon. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.